Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Max. Something big is about to drop. And it better not be your strategy pants, because you're going to need those today. We're talking strategy today. Got a few new Q posts for you. How many we got, numbers guy?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay. He's a good kid. He's just really slow sometimes. All right, post 1797, 26 minutes after the hour of 1. I'm reading Eastern Daylight Time. We have a sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, sample 3 plus. Q says, what does fear look like? What does panic look like? What does control look like? What does coordination look like? What does fake news look like? Sheep know more. And then we get sample 4, and that rhymes. Then we got a link, got another link, and we got a Linky O'Linkington, a Linky McDougal, and a Linky Linkenberg. Q. Post 1798, 14 minutes after the hour 2, and Anon posts this screenshot here. Looks to be Twitter. This mystery woman would really like to hug our favorite president. I'm sure at Secret Service would have stopped this guy too, but I'm glad I got him off the streets before you arrived. See article below, part 2 next tweet. And the article says, Trump attack foiled. Oklahoma man drove here with loaded gun, police said. And then we've got looks like a Twitter handle of a Kate Mazzucchetti. I want to hug real Donald Trump for saving the world. I'll have my Q shirt on. I had one made, and then she's got a little emoji with a big old kissy face. Patriot who stopped a possible assassination attempt will be at the Trump rally in a Q shirt. Retweet. There's a chance POTUS might point her out. Q in the spotlight, saving president. And then we've got a Twitter link, and Q confirms. It says VIP access Q. Post 1799, 56 minutes after the hour 2, responding to an Anon who put, this board in the coming months will be spread and discussed across all platforms. Important to be prepared. That's from a previous Q post. Q confirms and says, thanks. New arrivals. Proofs are important. Thank you, Autis/Anons. Q. Post 1800. We get a Reddit link. Threat received. USSS acted appropriately. This is not a game. Q. Post 1801. 9 minutes after the hour of 10. Responding to an Anon who put, now we know why Q didn't post before rally. Q confirms. Post 1802. 20 minutes after the hour of 10, Q says something big is about to drop. Q. Post 1803, 2 minutes after the hour of 2. How do you safeguard the integrity of our elections from domestic and foreign criminal actors? How do you utilize the Russia narrative to knock out decades-old election corruption? Then we have a couple links here. Why are D's opposed to cleaning up voter rolls? Why are D's opposed to imposing voter ID laws to further safeguard our elections? Why oppose basic common sense methods that are currently deployed worldwide? Logical thinking, corruption. Then we have a Fox News link, Q. Post 1804, 22 minutes after the hour of 2, and Anon post this conversation here. Looks like a phone conversation. I guess you could think of me as the female Seth Rich that knew she was being hunted and took the steps to foil them before they could succeed. I mean, short of killing the people who want you dead, how can you foil their plans to hunt you down? The response is, I fought alone until last year this time. Had Hillary won, I'd be dead or living under an assumed name in a different country. Anon says, here's another Kate excerpt. Keep in mind she wanted to hug POTUS. Q responds, Autis present, no connection, logical thinking. Regarding VIP access. Subject, threat to POTUS thwarted. Rally, USSS threat identification action taken. Comms dark, message sent. 55 Q. And post 1805. 36 minutes after the hour of 1, adding on to that, Q says, incorrect decoding, not the person, think connection. Threat 1, threat 2, 1 equals past, newspaper, 2 equals future, rally, 1 equals 2, post noted, VIP access, message sent, we know, Q. All right, back to the beginning post, 1797, Q gives us sample 1. These were all the conspiracy links that we had about QAnon. Sample 2, we got some more. Sample 3, we got some more. Add on to that, sample 3 plus. And then Q says, what does fear look like? Well, I don't know. Fear looks like this. What does panic look like? I guess panic looks a little bit like this. What does control look like? Control looks a lot like this. What does coordination look like? I think coordination probably looks a little bit like this. Okay, that might have been the wrong clip. Not sure, but you understand. What does fake news look like? Oh, we know this. Fake news looks like this.
People around the country don't know.
Q says sheep know more, and then proceeds to give us another sample. Sample 4. How about this? More links. Thanks, Q. More links. More people hating on Q. Seems to be the thing to do these days. Let's take a look at some of these. Who is Q? Behind the conspiracy theory erupting at Trump rallies. Look at this guy about to erupt with a clap. And then we have this from Vox. QAnon, the scarily popular pro-Trump conspiracy theory explained. And as you can see, Jim Acosta, he's rallying with the Trump troops over here. And then we have this off the Salt Lake Tribune. Political cornflakes. Political cornflakes. What's a political cornflake? Am I a political cornflake? I don't know what that is. Thought Pizzagate was weird? QAnon is like the triple-decker meat lovers version of bizarre conspiracy theories. All right, well, listen. That sounds like a lot of meat for me. But there are some people that like triple-decker meat lovers. Whatever. Pizza, I guess. I don't know. It sounds like it's all right to me. This guy has his thumb down, so maybe he's like, not so much meat. And this guy's like, you're putting too much meat on my pizza. I don't know. You see what's going on. Look, it's a bunch of people getting all pumped up because their country's doing well. And the mainstream media, they're having a massive panic over it. They don't love it. Something big must be coming on. Makes me think something has probably already dropped to have them really go after a coordinated attack like this. So it remains to be seen what will happen, but keep your helmets on, folks. We're in for a bumpy ride. Let's move on. Post 1798. We get this here from Twitter. This mystery woman would really like to hug our favorite president. I'm sure Secret Service would have stopped this guy too, but I'm glad I got him off the streets before you arrived. And then it shows this article here. Trump attack foiled. Oklahoma man drove here with loaded gun, police said. And then we get this screenshot of Kate Mazzucchetti's Twitter handle. I want to hug real Donald Trump for saving the world. I'll have my Q shirt on. I had one made. And then the Anon says, Patriot who stopped a possible assassination attempt will be at the Trump rally in a Q shirt. Retweet. There's a chance POTUS might point her out. Q in the spotlight saving president. And then we get this Twitter link, which takes you to Kate Mazzucchetti's Twitter. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But let's go back here. And Q says VIP access. All right. Well, this is a really strange story. We get this guy who is in contact with this Kate Mazzucchetti and decides to drive a long way and tells her that he's going to kill the president. And this is off of WNEP. Looks like out of Briar Creek Township, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania State Police arrested a man from Oklahoma in Columbia County after police learned he heard voices in his head telling him to kill President Donald Trump and his family. This all comes as the president is due in Lucerne County on Thursday. People living in the community of Briar Creek near Berwick were surprised to learn that someone would travel all the way from Oklahoma to tell someone that he wants to kill the president. As it turns out, that wasn't the only unusual part of the story. Troopers arrested Jeffrey Boyd, 55, of Tulsa, Oklahoma, for making threats against President Trump. I was shocked, and I called my mom right away because I had to tell somebody what was going on. She was like, well, if they got a gun drawn, it's something major. And I'm like, yeah. The question is, how major and what is it, said Lacey Garrison of Berwick. We'd like to know too, Lacey. Authorities say a woman went to the state police in Chick-Shinny and told them she is an active Trump supporter on Twitter and had communicated a few times with Jeffrey Boyd. She told troopers that on Monday, Boyd showed up at her front door. She agreed to have lunch with him the next day. The owner of Hogs Hollow Saloon near Briar Creek tells Newswatch 16 that Boyd and the woman had lunch there on Tuesday. He ran into Boyd in the parking lot and said he was acting confused and manic. According to state police, the woman said Boyd told her at lunch that the CIA is doing tests on him and that he is hearing voices in his head and telling him to kill President Trump and his family. It's a scary thought that someone would come from Tulsa to get to this area just to hunt down the president. So those are scary things, said Bob Reek of Berwick. After hearing her story, troopers searched for Boyd and found him in the parking lot of a grocery store in Briar Creek. They searched his vehicle and found a loaded gun and extra ammunition. Boyd is locked up in Columbia County, but the incident makes people in the area uneasy. We moved here from New Jersey, and I thought, who's going to bomb a cow? Who's going to bomb a cow? What are you talking about? First we were talking about political cornflakes, and now we're talking about bombing cows. This is a strange story. Like, I'd rather live here than close to New York. But when it's like that, it's like, okay, this is too close, very close, said Linda Cartier of Briar Creek. Boyd is locked up on $1 million bail. So, crazy story. Here we have this Kate Mazzucchelli. And let's look at her Twitter. Here she is here. And she tweets this earlier. I realize this man needs help, but with the president coming to the area tomorrow to support Representative Lou Barletta, the Secret Service had to know. The voices that told him to kill POTUS and others were the same ones that told him to drive to my house from Oklahoma. He had a loaded gun. Well, nice going, Kate Mazzucchelli. Thanks for thwarting that effort. Interesting that this guy finds you on Twitter, starts talking to you about it, drives a whole bunch of miles to come visit you. What do? You got to call the cops, right? You got to call the Secret Service. But first, let's grab some curly fries at the Hogs Hollow Saloon. Something doesn't seem right about this, does it? Q says, VIP access. Well, here's a couple pictures of her right here that we find, and it looks like she's talking to some press. Now, from what I understand and what I was reading on 8chan, she did not make it to the VIP area. As a matter of fact, she stayed in the media box, and the whole time everybody was facing the other way. Now, this is the only pictures that I see of her, but I'm sure there may be some more. So this story gets really, really strange, doesn't it? Here we have this supposed thwarted assassination attempt. Q officer, VIP access. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about her in just a bit, but let's move on to the next post. Post 1799. We get this from, this is actually part of a quote from an old Q post that an Anon posted. This board in the coming months will be spread and discussed across all platforms. Important to be prepared. And Q says, think new arrivals. Proofs are important. Thank you, Autis/Anon Q. All right, well, this puts it into a little bit more perspective now. Let's take you back to post 1796. And we just talked about this. Welcome to the mainstream. We knew this day would come. And then Q was giving us a glimpse of what to expect. Liberal Democrats, fake news, and yep, you guessed it, fake MAGA supporters. It's almost like we were just talking about it. So you see what's going on. We've got some really, really interesting stuff and a lot of new people coming in. And a lot of new people talking about Q as if they've been here the whole time. Proofs are going to be incredibly important because there's going to be a lot of people trying to disprove us. We've seen all the mainstream media articles that have come out, and they're coming at us full bore. But the really tricky stuff are going to be the people who pretend to be part of the crew. Q says, thank you, Autis/Anon. Now let's take you over to post 1800. Q gives us a Reddit link and says, threat received. United States Secret Service acted appropriately. This is not a game. It takes you to this Reddit thread here. The reason you did not see a lot of Q signs, the Secret Service were taking them. And I'm actually really glad that Q mentioned this because we were going to talk about this anyway. So let me just read a few from here. This guy says, yeah, they took them. And when the Q supporters asked why they were being taken, this Secret Service said in a whisper, trust the plan. This guy says, you win the internet today. This should become a copy-paste meme. Well done. This guy adds, when I attended, then candidate Trump's rally in New Hampshire back in the fall of 2016, the Secret Service set up a tremendous perimeter and had everyone go through a very large scanning machine. At that Portsmouth, New Hampshire rally, held at Portsmouth Toyota, nobody was allowed to bring in any homemade signs, so tonight was standard operating procedure as far as I can tell. This means that Tampa was the anomaly, guys. At the Tampa rally, the Secret Service obviously allowed all those signs and cutouts. So that was intentional. Tonight was too. But I just want to point out that Tampa's many Q signs and cutouts were not normal. Something's up, and I love it. I love how President Trump and Q team are playing the crooked criminal MSM. And then this next guy here says, Sun Tzu, when your numbers are many, appear few. When your numbers are few, appear many. Trump is a master student of Tzu. Okay, so I think you see what's starting to happen here. Q says, threat received. And we knew these threats were going to come, right? And a lot of the threats were going to come disguised as Trump supporters. Post 1801, this Anon says, now we know why Q didn't post before rally, and Q didn't. Q acknowledges that as well. Post 1802, Q says something big is about to drop. Okay, well, last time we saw Facebook drop, Twitter dropped. Don't know if it will be another social media giant that could be dropping. Could be a mainstream media conglomerate about to take a hit. I'm not really sure. Could it be those 20 pages that Devin Nunes was talking about, the DOJ documents? I don't know. But Q says something big is about to drop and kind of left it vague there and then didn't post for a while. Let me turn you on to the very end of Hannity's show. He was talking to Mark Levine regarding the Paul Manafort trial and really the Mueller investigation in general. Let's hear what he had to say.
And so the question is, Rod Rosenstein, who gives a rubber stamp to all this and created this in the first place by appointing his dear friend, the man he first worked for at the Justice Department, Mr. Mueller, who was best friends with Mr. Comey. What a colossal disaster. You have Jeff Sessions, a man I've known for 30 years, who's sitting this out. He shouldn't be sitting it out. These are constitutional issues. And quite frankly, Mr. Mueller can't keep hiding behind his 17 left-wing Democrat donor prosecutors. Where the hell is Congress? I want to know what Mr. Mueller thinks he can do under our Constitution. I want to know what Mr. Mueller thinks he can do under the two Department of Justice memos as well.
Mark, you know when I say tick-tock, something big is coming that will blow this all out of the water. Thank you for being...
Well, sounds like Hannity knows something. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time is about to run out and something big is about to drop. Could it be these 20 pages that are going to blow your mind? And what's on those 20 pages? Why all of a sudden are we talking about this here in 1803? How do you safeguard the integrity of our elections from domestic and foreign criminal actors? Well, I suppose you don't get foreign and criminal actors involved in the first place. How do you utilize the Russia narrative to knock out decades-old election corruption? Good point. Remember, game theory. So, we're looking at the deep state, and what are they crying about? They're crying about Russian meddling. That's what this was all about. That was their big excuse, Russian meddling. And they needed to do anything they could to imply it and give just enough doubt to lead them up to the midterms so that they could get enough people in to impeach President Trump. Now, this first Twitter link takes us here. Senior administration officials warn that Russia will try to undermine upcoming U.S. elections. The president has specifically directed us to make the matter of election meddling a top priority, Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates said. Interesting. This is off of the White House Twitter. Well, that's their big battle cry, isn't it? Russia, Russia, Russia. So using game theory and knowing that that's going to be their strategy, I suppose we have to think like them. And if they're going to cry about election meddling, then I suppose we want to make sure that we show them that there's going to be election integrity. And so then we get this here from August 2nd. It's a fact sheet. President Donald J. Trump is strengthening the security of our elections. This is off of WH.Gov. We're going to take strong action and secure our election systems in the process, President Donald J. Trump. And let me just read you a few of these bullet points. You'll get the idea. President Trump has made clear that his administration will not tolerate foreign interference in our elections from any nation state or other malicious actor. President Trump chaired National Security Council meetings on May 3rd and July 27th to receive updates on and discuss the whole of government approach to election security being implemented at his direction. The whole of government approach was put in motion at the beginning of the administration to support state and local election officials across the country. President Trump's meetings have addressed the threats posed to our elections by foreign actors, efforts underway to provide cybersecurity assistance to state and local authorities, actions to investigate, prosecute, and hold accountable those who attempt to interfere in our electoral process. Okay, so it goes on a little bit more here, but I just want to give you the general idea. So it looks like Q is drawing our attention to this game theory, and here we go again. Let's talk about it one more time. They're worried about Russian elections. They're worried about Russian meddling. So what do? We be over accommodating. Make sure that we show the general John Q public that we're interested in fair elections too. After all, I think we're all pretty confident that we're going to be able to pull that off. If we get a fair election, I think we know who's going to win. So, Q says, why are D's opposed to cleaning up voter rolls? Yeah, well, why would they be opposed to that? Who's on those voter rolls? How long have they been dead, and where country are they from? You get what's going on, right? They don't want to clean up the voter rolls because they know they're dirty. And so they can cry Russia all they want. So rather than battle back, why not be accommodating and say, you know what? You're right. Let's clean this up. Let's clean everything up. And now this is going to put them on Front Street because it's going to show that that's what this was all about in the first place, rigging the election so that Hillary would win. It's going to come all back onto them, and all their projection is about to get exposed. Why are D's opposed to imposing voter ID laws to further safeguard our elections? Because anybody who's legal doesn't want to vote for them. Why oppose basic common sense methods that are currently deployed worldwide? And keep in mind, this is not just a reference to Thomas Paine's book, Common Sense. It's to a certain person who has a certain organization that's wrapped up with certain foundations that wants to impeach President Trump. Logical thinking, corruption. Remember, race to midterms. They need to win this out. And they're stuck now. Because even though they're the ones that tainted the elections, they're the ones that have to cry about how the elections are tainted. It's classic projection. And they can't back out now. They've got to double down. Even if they get caught, they've got to get caught yelling that narrative. Now the next link takes us here. Trump sounds call for voter ID laws to fix rigged system after disbanding fraud panel. And this is from January 4th. President Trump called Thursday for new voter ID laws just hours after dissolving his presidential commission on voter fraud. The president disbanded the controversial panel focused on election integrity, blaming a refusal by more than a dozen states to provide what he called basic information. So now all of a sudden we get these states that get called out. Now this was from back in January. So we've seen this coming for a while. And we know that a lot of these states, they don't want fair elections. They want to cry about fair elections. But when it comes down to actually implementing fair elections, we all know why. Because they want to let illegals vote. They want to let dead people vote. They want to let their dog vote if they can. Doesn't matter as long as they vote Democrat. Right? Right. Because that was the only way that Hillary was going to win. And when that all fell out, now they have to figure out a way to gain back the House so that they can impeach Trump. And that's their only plan. And it's a terrible plan, but it's their only plan. So, Q says logical thinking, corruption. Well, it's pretty logical, isn't it? And now we're seeing that something big is about to drop. And it's going to expose the foundation of all these FISA documents, which leads back to spying on the Trump campaign, as well as leading even further back to the rigging of an election. And once everyone sees that, that should be just about time to start working our way to midterms. And as this gets to be a more and more contentious topic, everyone is going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. And when that truth comes out, everyone's going to want to go back to probably paper ballots. It's going to burn itself all out. It's a beautiful plan. And it looks like something big is about to drop to show the origin of all this. Post 1804. An anonymous post this correspondence. It looks to be a series of text messages between this Kate and a friend. We'll talk about that in just a second. The Anon says, here's another Kate excerpt. Keep in mind she wanted to hug POTUS. And Q responds, autist present, no connection, logical thinking regarding VIP access. Okay, well, this Kate wanted, she was supposed to get VIP access. That's what Q said, right? The subject, threat to POTUS, thwarted. And Q seems to be asking us about it. So here we have this Kate. And she supposedly thwarts this attack on the president's life. A man was arrested, and evidently she did meet with this man, and he was behaving erratically out in the parking lot, right? That's what the article said. So this guy wants to kill the president, and he decides to, all of a sudden, days before, start stalking this outwardly Trump supporter, QAnon follower, and then drive miles and miles to meet somebody that they've never met and tell her all about his stories about being MK Ultra or whatever it was, only to go kill the president. Seems like the wrong person to confide in, doesn't it? And then you have Kate hosting this creepy guy who drove all this way to meet her, even though he was just stalking her with crazy plans of killing the president. What does she do? Curly fries at the Hogs Hollow. And then goes and warns the Secret Service. Shows up. Now, she didn't get VIP. Let me take you over here to Twitter. This user here says, Kate, did Secret Service take people's Q signs or ask folks to remove or turn their Q shirts inside out? And Kate says, yes. Perhaps the Q shirt kept me out of any possibilities with POTUS. I wouldn't change a thing, though. So, doesn't sound very VIP to me. This rally here, there was evidently a threat identified. But I thought they already got the guy before he even got the rally. So it sounds to me like our thwarter might very well have been our threat identified. Now, she was taken back in a different section, but I don't know what happened. And, maybe there will be some more developing news as this video comes out about it, or as Q posts more. I have a feeling Q will post more on this. But then Q says, comms dark, message sent, 5555 being loud and clear. Now, the comms went dark. Yeah, Q didn't post before the rally, right? Nothing to look for, nothing to know what to expect. And we got this weird story about this Kate. Now, let me take you to a bigger excerpt of this. And this seems to be a dialogue. Now, I'm not exactly sure who this other person is, but going by this this right here, it looks like Kate Mazzucchelli is this snowflake right here. How about that? She's a snowflake. All right, so sounds like she's a super ninja snowflake. This person says, QAnon? She says, once removed, I'm further down the hole. So you know QAnon? Which one? It's been no less than 3. Who are they? And then it looks like she posts this that has nothing to do with Q. This is not a Q post. Noted this domino will come last, the others will fall. It's not a Q post. The real Q was twice removed from POTUS, 1 degree separation. I don't know why I'm talking like that. The posts after the attacks were co-opted, likely to keep everyone's head down in the wrong rabbit holes by an oppositional force. Be weary of anyone now claiming to be Q. Let me just stop you right there, folks. It's not be weary, it's be wary. Weary means you're tired. Wary means you beware. Be wary of anyone now claiming to be Q. There's been no return since the 9th. We can all just watch now, really. The wave hasn't already broken, but the information about it hasn't crested yet. How do you know this? I've been along the ride for 4 years now. Eventually all my seemingly confusing posts in the past will fall into place. So you were the first QAnon? I've been hiding clues about what's to come on 4chan and other platforms along the way. If you support the restoration of the law, you will be very happy about what's gone on quietly for a very long time now. Referenced by Q several times. Okay, so what do you know exactly? I haven't been able to read all the original Q stuff. I was just aggressive. For what? I guess that's leverage? I don't know what that is. As a whistleblower, you hand over what you know, and you have faith justice will prevail. It's been a long wait, and I squeezed a lot of balls, but it will pay off for mankind. I guess you could think of me as a female Seth Rich that knew she was being hunted and took the steps to foil them before they could succeed. I mean, short of killing the people who want you dead, how can you foil their plans to hunt you down? I fought alone this last year this time. Had Hillary won, I'd been dead or living under an assumed name in a different country. I gave more detail than ever in my last scope since we won. I don't know what that means. Let me link it for you. If you've been paying attention since the first real Q post, you should find enough clues to identify which role I'm in. I was only recently made aware to QAnon. Somebody told me about IPOT. I don't know much about it at all. Your worst nightmare! Got a Twitter link. There's 2 there. The video cut out. That pretty much gives it all away with the big long L's and the big Y. Wait. Holy poo. I recognize the woman in that video. Is that you? Did you start following me on YouTube recently? I did. You and I cut from the same cloth. I get to my story in about 19 minutes, but you may enjoy the lead-in. I hid most of my YouTube videos about 2 months ago when victory became a lie. Wait, what? I'm not a whistleblower. All my videos on YouTube are pretty much stupid stuff. How did you make some kind of connection? And if your video of the arcane memes is your voice, you deliver comedy the same way I do. Oh, thanks, I guess. There's no coincidences. This is just so weird. Oh, it's a compliment. When I'm not trying to stay alive, I crack myself up. Lately, I've had lots of time to do whatever I want. I see. I'm way safer. This is really just messing with my mind. I was debating on DMing you when someone connected you to QAnon. And as it turns out, you knew about me before I knew about you. There would likely not be any future CIA ops to snuff me out. Too many people know now, and the dam would break instantly. I highly doubt they'd make it past the mailbox. I highly doubt they'd pay it. Didn't I just tell you that before? I highly doubt they'd make it past the mailbox, what I'm trying to say. That's what they tried. We're way beyond the point. Why do you type certain words like that? Is that code? I believe you liked one of my posts, and I knew that face. I routinely check just about everyone because that's how messages were sent back to me, often hidden in pictures. Post on YouTube or Instagram? Okay, so you can see, this is some weird stuff. I don't know what's going on here, but this seems to be some text message from a Kate Mazzucchetti and some sort of anonymous friend. I'm not exactly sure who this is, but it's a very, very strange story. Now, Q talks about comms going dark, meaning that QAnon didn't want to give us any kind of hints as to what was going on before this happened. They clearly knew that there must have been some sort of threat. We also have all of the Secret Service taking all the QAnon stuff away after having such a big QAnon presence at the previous rally. Seems a little strange, doesn't it? Now keep in mind, we've also got Jim Acosta coming out being very, very vocal about how poorly he was mistreated. So, let me offer you a couple of scenarios. Could it be that these newfound MAGA supporters right here, these fake MAGA supporters, were going to show up in droves? And maybe they were going to harass somebody, maybe unfairly, maybe even harm somebody, maybe even a certain somebody in the media. So that would give them a lot of ammo to talk about how dangerous QAnon is. Remember, game theory. But if you take all of that away, now you can't create that. You got to make everybody play on the same level playing field. And you get this girl who seems to know, I don't really know what she knows about QAnon. And I honestly don't know if this is a real correspondence or not, but Q seems to be confirming this excerpt right here. Q says no connection, logical thinking. So could it have been under the guise of being this benevolent Trump supporter that happened to have a Q shirt on, was going to get a free pass, getting straight to the president, so close to get a hug, all because she thwarted this guy right here, who's nowhere to be found, arrested and put on bond. So, interesting connections. And Q warned that this would happen. Now, the fact that there were no comms also has to show that if something were to happen, Q didn't warn about it. Q didn't make any comms about it. So you can't go pulling that up on the news, and you sure can't go pull that up on Huffington Post, can you? There's nothing there. So we took it all away from them from everybody. Now, unfortunately, the true Q supporters also had to put away their signs and their shirts and hats and whatever, and it was probably, whatever it was. But it sounds to me like everybody was being told by the Secret Service to trust the plan. And so there you go. And that leads us into sort of this bigger picture with the game theory. Let me move on just a little bit further to 1805, where Q says incorrect decoding, not the person, think connection, threat 1, threat 2. 1 equals past, the newspaper. 2 equals future, the rally. 1 equals 2, post noted, VIP access, message sent, we know, Q. Okay, so regardless of whether the girl was dangerous or not, I think what it was that it looks like the newspaper was the flag to warn about what could be happening at the rally. Now, Q seemed to already kind of know about this in this previous post anyway, knowing that these kind of things were going to happen. That's what they're looking out for. But we took away their ammunition by taking basically the whole Q relation out of the equation. And that squelches it. You can't bang on Q. And that's exactly what they've been doing. Precisely why Q has shown us all these multitude of hit pieces that's been done. They were coming for us. And it wouldn't surprise me if this group of fake Q knuckleheads go into a rally, start beating up on Jim Acosta. Next thing you know, it's World War III. It looks like she posted on 8chan here. And you can see the link with the Q t-shirt here. Link didn't work, my fault, probably too stoked for rally. I had a shirt made and hope Trump sees this and says something about the thwarted attack. And here you can see her with what looks to be the same shirt. So who knows? I'm not really sure what to think about this. Could this signal with the Q t-shirt be a signal to Secret Service to be on the lookout for people in Q t-shirts? Not sure. Or do you think this girl could have been part of the threat rather than part of the thwart? Now, here's an interesting theory from an Anon who posted this. Intel from 2 Anon friends at rally tonight. Number 1, CNN 4 a.m. talking points stated videos ready of POTUS recognizing Q. 2, chatter suggested a disturbance would be recorded victimizing CNN by Q. How about that? Secret Service noticed Q signs saying just the plan instead of trust the plan. 4, 2 individuals with large Q signs, very visible reference to the plan, wrong. I'm assuming that had just the plan on it, so it would have been wrong. Refused to give up signs when asked. Now, I didn't see any video of that. If anyone's got video of that, I'd love to see that. Moved off camera by Secret Service and then removed from premises. And of course, we had this lady in the yellow shirt that was removed as well. So it's really, really hard to say, but clearly there was a threat inside the rally, and that's why all the Q stuff had to go. I'm not exactly sure if this girl was warning about it or not. It looks like that very well possibly could have been. The story seems so strange. Whether or not she was a danger, I don't know. It does look like she may have gotten some sort of special treatment. She was taken off in a special section. I'm not sure if it was VIP treatment or not, but she didn't get a chance to hug the president. And I would imagine under such circumstances, nobody's probably going to get a chance to hug the president. So all I can say is I'm glad that the president is safe. This is clearly a dangerous game we're playing. Now let's go over one more time this post. Q says incorrect decoding, not the person, think connection. Okay, so maybe it's not so much about the girl as it is just about the connections to the threats. And we also had this go on as well too. This is from Doylestown Patch. PA man wanted for Trump threats still on run as rally nears. Federal authorities continue the search for a man accused of threatening to shoot Donald Trump as the president prepares to arrive in the state for a Make America Great Again rally Thursday in Wilkes Barre, just 30 miles from the hometown of fugitive Sean Christie. The FBI is offering a reward of $10,000 for any information leading to Christie's arrest. Christie, 26, of McAdoo, Pennsylvania, is facing federal charges for making social media threats against the president in June. Christie allegedly posted on Facebook that he was going to shoot President Trump and that he would use lethal force on any law enforcement officer attempting to detain him. The posts were made between June 3rd and June 12th, the FBI said. Okay, so there he is, if anybody recognizes this guy. So you can see what's going on. There was quite a few quite a few things happening. And of course, Q isn't going to be posting in a time like that. Now, I'm not 100% sure as to this 1=2 thing, but I can't help but think that whatever it was through the newspaper or through her post was able to thwart the whatever attempt that was going to go on, or at least give the Secret Service an idea of what to look out for in the future, which would have been the rally. And so if it was this girl, then thank you. And whoever it was, thank you for posting it. But it's a strange story, isn't it? The connection to Q and the weird correspondence there and everything like that. It's very, very strange. But it does look like crisis averted. The lady was taken off. She looked relatively harmless, but you never know. And then, of course, President Trump even mentioned something about, he looked a little bit aggravated in the beginning of the speech anyway, but he said something about the Hollywood Awards, and the Academy Awards, excuse me. So very, very interesting thing, but it looks like everybody's safe, and you can see what kind of dangerous game this is. And it talks to something greater. I think we were kind of mentioning it the other day about this game theory and the need for this movement to really kind of look at itself very, very seriously now and realize what kind of threats we're really, really up against. They're willing to put people in our shirts and our hats and go out and do whatever they can, they can do. And so if that means that maybe we have to take those shirts and hats off, it's a difficult thing because that's not what we want to do, is it? So, interesting times that we live in. And I guess this is sort of this time where we have to apply game theory to what we think they're going to do. If we think they're going to cause trouble, how can we find ways to distance ourselves from that trouble, only to allow itself to kind of basically implode on itself, as it eventually will, because these are desperate, desperate moves and desperate, desperate times. But I'm glad that it seems like everybody was okay. We live to fight another day, Patriots. That is all I got for you today. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me get the message out, especially in this day and age. Thank you so much to those of you who have been sharing my videos and my tweets and things like that. I really appreciate all the help that you guys put in. It just absolutely overwhelms me. So thank you so much. Also, I'm on Twitter at IPOT1776. That's IPOT1776. You can find me on Gab. You can find me on BitChute, Real.Video, and my Patreon link is down below as well, too. All my links are down below, so go check them out, please. All right, that's it for now. This is Sir Patrick Mack, and until next time, stay safe.